She wrote a book called 9 Rules of Engagement to honor her father, who was a lieutenant colonel and served in Vietnam. There's been a big change at Fox News because of what Jesse Watters and Harris Faulkner just said. This news bomb went off a minute ago, and the internet is already going crazy. How did things go with Jesse Watters at Fox? What is the real story behind Harris Faulkner's part? Faulkner is one of the most interesting people on Fox, and now fans are wondering what she will do next after Jesse Watters' reveal. Find out what the big news was and how big of an effect it had in this movie. Come with me. Harris Faulkner is leaving Fox News. Harris Faulkner has been working for Fox News since 2005, and it's been a wild ride ever since. She started out as a reporter for the new form of a current event show. After that, she quickly became a regular at the network. Over time, she got better at her job and showed how flexible she was by being able to be both a tough reporter and a calm, steady anchor. She had her own show, Fox Report Weekend, by 2011, and she stayed in that job until 2017. He didn't stop there, though. She kept getting better at the network. She joined Outnumbered as a co-host in April 2014, Fox's well-known afternoon show, which was also an honor for her. Surprisingly, she was the last original host on Outnumbered. When she finally quit, it was the end of an era. In typical Faulkner style, her next move was even bigger. A show called Outnumbered Overtime, which dealt with more serious and hard news, was hosted by her. Then, in 2021, she started her own show called Faulkner Focus. That put her right in the middle of the Fox News daily team. After seeing all of these changes, it's hard not to wonder what made her leave a network where she had really done so much. People all over the world are talking about the big news that Jesse Watters just made about Harris Faulkner. Why is everyone so interested in what he said about Harris? This isn't just another news story. You have to see this. If you stick around, the facts of what Jesse told you will blow your mind. There have been a lot of talks about Harris Faulkner's departure, and many people have their own ideas about why she chose to leave. One of the strangest and maybe most telling reasons? A rising sense of disappointment with the way the network is going. She's been in the business for decades and has always been vocal about how important it is to be decent, writing based on facts. People who know about the situation say that she felt unhappy with how she saw Fox News moving away from honest reporting. Think about how difficult it would be to work somewhere for years and then start to question whether it still fits with your core values. It seems that this shift towards sensationalism and putting ratings over content made her feel like Fox's goals were at odds with her commitment to fair reporting. For Faulkner, who has made a living as a serious writer, that couldn't have been easy to understand. But the reporting direction of the network wasn't the only thing that made her decide. Over time, her tasks on air started to change in ways that weren't quite what she loved. He has always been interested in writing about people. The kind that show how people really fight and succeed in real life. But because the network was always covering politics and the stories were becoming more partisan, it was hard for her to cover these human interest tales. She allegedly felt like her job had moved away from the things that really made her happy, which made her question whether she could keep going in this direction. It must have been difficult to see the human interest stories that made her love journalism get pushed to the side after years of covering high-stakes political drama. It's possible that Faulkner's leaving is a sign of even bigger problems that aren't being talked about. Faulkner often felt pressures that her male coworkers didn't have because she was one of the few black women in public, powerful positions at Fox News. Being a well-known black woman at Fox added to the problems that women face in a field that is already tough for them. Over time, she became more and more uncomfortable with how the network covered stories about race, especially as the national talk about race and justice heated up. She didn't like how Fox News talked about things like police brutality, the Black Lives Matter movement, and wider racial injustices. This made her feel even more out of place. How could someone like Faulkner, who has spent her whole life doing honest news, keep working for a network whose views on such important issues were becoming more and more troubling to her? Harris Faulkner's going doesn't just mean that one person is leaving a network. In it, a writer sticks to her beliefs even though she thinks the world around her is no longer a good place to do so. Even though her leaving is a surprise, it seems like it was bound to happen given the circumstances. Faulkner's choice shows a deeper unhappiness that many viewers may have felt but never fully understood. She was unhappy with how the network dealt with race-related issues and how it pushed human interest stories to the side. What is Faulkner going to do next? One thing is certain, only time will tell. Her dedication will follow her everywhere she goes. Jesse Watters is making news right now with a big Harris Faulkner reveal, and fans can't believe it. What does it mean for Harris that he shared this now? You need to stay until the end, because what Jesse said has a much bigger effect than anyone thought. Fox News is going through some changes. The current wave of people leaving Fox News has caused a lot of talk, indicating a change in the way the network has been working for a long time. Tucker Carlson, that was one of the most shocking exits. Carlson was the face of Fox's conservative commentary for many years. He has been hosting Tucker Carlson Tonight, since 2017 and has a loyal fan group that loves his strong opinions. His sudden exit made a lot of people wonder what's going on at Fox News. Fox just settled a huge defamation claim with Dominion Voting Systems for an amazing $787.5 million, which happened right after Carlson quit. There might have been a mistake. Does this mean something different for Fox? A lot of fans are confused and don't know what will happen next with the network. But Fox has fired other big names in the past few years besides Carlson. Do you remember Glenn Beck? He quit his daily show in 2011 because he didn't agree with the network's rules. Then there was Bill O'Reilly, who used to be the star of primetime but quit in 2017 amid accusations of misconduct. With these high-profile departures, people are wondering if Fox News is just trying to change things up or if these moves are part of a bigger, more subtle shift in goals. Even with all the changes, it's interesting to see that Fox News isn't straying from its right path. And Lachlan Murdoch, CEO of Fox Corp, has been very clear that the network isn't changing how it does things in general. Murdoch said that Fox News' approach is still solid, and he said that Carlson's leaving was more of a tweak than a full change. What does this change mean for people who watch? Well, the network has changed things up a bit. Jesse Waters, another known face to Fox fans, now hosts Carlson's prime 8 p.m. show. Laura Ingraham has also moved to the 7 p.m. time slot, which is meant to keep viewers interested and make the transition to the rest of the night's shows easier. Fox isn't just changing the times of shows either. In the past few years, the network has been trying out new shows and movies to attract younger people. They've come out with products like a weather network and streaming choices for people all over the world. There's more to Fox than just politics for those who think that. The network has made its weekend lineup more exciting by adding leisure shows to Fox Nation. It's clear that Fox is hedging its bets by trying to appeal to both its usual conservative base and people who want a little more variety in what they watch. Fox seems to be getting better at hard news. Bret Baier, an anchor, recently got some big talks like one with the leader of Saudi Arabia and a recent one with former President Donald Trump. The change seems to have been planned. Along with the network's regular opinion pieces, there will be more serious news coverage. Fox might be trying to find a middle ground by adding more depth to its shows without losing the spark that has kept people watching for decades. Fox might be able to stay relevant by making changes to its programming, keeping an eye on a wider range of groups, and staying true to its conservative roots. These attempts could keep Fox ahead, but could they also be the start of a whole new era? In any case, it will be interesting to see how this media giant changes to keep its current audience and draw new ones. Not long ago, Jesse Waters told us some very important news about Harris Faulkner. Do not miss it. What did he say that fans all over the world are watching to see? It's not like any other show, this one changes the rules. Make sure you stay until the end, because this statement will make you laugh out loud. What Jesse Waters said was so shocking. The story of how he told everyone about Harris Faulkner's leaving has so many layers that it's like peeling an onion. It's interesting to see Jesse Waters, who is already famous for other things, go off script and talk about things that are usually kept secret, as if to say, no need for the usual polished farewell. This is the truth. When a host leaves a network, there's usually a clear story. That's all we have to say about it. Waters didn't follow through with that at all. In its place, he hints at things like differences in creativity. For TV people, that could mean anything from picking the story to who gets more time on air. But it's clear from how Waters talked about it that those creative talks had a lot of back and forth. There might have even been fights over who had the last word. Then there's the matter of the time slots. There's no doubt that primetime is the best time for TV, and every host wants it. Word on the street is that Faulkner didn't like how her show schedule changed. It feels like a step down when you make that move. These changes are very important in the very competitive world of television. Even though Waters didn't say it, money may have also had something to do with this. But contracts in the TV business today aren't just about pay. They're also about being able to change. There are rights for streaming, digital marketing, and more. All of that could have stopped the talks in their tracks. What Waters said made it sound like Faulkner wanted things that the network wasn't able to give her or wasn't ready to bend on. Another big deal is getting the audience involved. It's not a surprise that Waters brought up some arguments about how to handle certain political issues. The networks of today have to find a way to please both their loyal fans and new, younger viewers. Faulkner had been managing this act, writing for a lot of different age groups. That's helpful, but networks still try to attract younger people sometimes. The way news material changes over time must have also played a role. Traditional networks like Fox are in a lot of danger because so many people are now using apps like TikTok and X, which used to be Twitter. Waters even said that networks like Fox are rethinking how they do news because they don't know whether to stick to their old ways or change to keep up. It looks like Faulkner had her own thoughts about how things should go, which may not have been the same as Fox's. Waters talked about some problems with production, especially when it came to changing the style of the show. Faulkner is a seasoned news anchor, so she needs to be able to have a say in how her show goes. There is one thing that experienced professionals like Faulkner won't give up: creative power. She wasn't any different. It is pretty much begging for trouble when a network changes things like format or section timing without the host's permission. Then there was the issue of the web. As Waters said, there may be disagreements about how hosts should handle their online appearance. It's still hard for traditional networks to figure out how to connect with people in real time through social media. Faulkner seemed to get how important it was to interact with people on social media in a way that Fox might not have always agreed with. These days, news goes around the web faster than it does on TV. That's a big deal. Waters didn't directly talk about any personal problems, which I found interesting, but on TV, that quiet says more than any words could. When there are no mentions of relationship problems, it's often a sign that things were tense behind the scenes. Faulkner's leaving may seem like just another event in the news, but the reasons behind it point to a bigger change in the business. What's the real point? Waters and Faulkner each bring something different to the news. They're not just reading from a sheet of paper. They know that the media is changing and that they need to act quickly to stay ahead. The fact that Faulkner is leaving shows that TV news can't keep doing things the same way. It's either change or die, and we don't know which network will do it first. Even though Waters didn't say everything, his off-script speech made things pretty clear. There are some big changes going on, and as more of these stories come out, we'll learn even more about how TV news really works today. Effects on the shows on Fox News. Fox News has recently gone through a lot of changes that have really shook up the network's shows in ways that even the most loyal fans might not have seen coming. A chain of resignations of well-known anchors set off a chain of events that changed Fox News' entire evening schedule. To begin, Jesse Waters, who first came in as a guest host on the open 7 p.m. That time spot has now taken over with his own show, Jesse Waters Primetime. You might ask, why Waters? Well, the guy's been killing it on the 5, constantly getting huge audiences. About 3.3 million people watched in late 2021 alone. Because of this, he has become one of Fox's most valuable assets, and execs are counting on his fame to keep people glued to the screen. That's why they gave him the high-stakes 8 p.m. It's a smart and a bit of a risk to put the show right before Tucker Carlson tonight. Can Waters really live up to all of these high hopes? I'm not the only one moving, though. The time of Laura Ingraham's show has changed to 7 p.m., a time slot meant to wake people up and get them ready for the night ahead. Ingram is known for her strong, no-holds-barred comments, and it's clear that Fox wants her to bring that same fiery energy to her new show. Sean Hannity is another name that comes to mind. He's still in his regular 9 p.m. spot, so there are no changes there. This gives things a little more stability amidst all the changes. But why did Fox change these things in the first place? Do they just want to mess around with the plan for fun? Is there something bigger going on? This network seems to be the start of a new era. They say they are going center-right, though. But let's be honest, people who watch Fox News can see that they still like conservative opinion. In fact, the network has gone even further by adding 2 more hours of right-wing talk shows at 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. slots. It's clear that they want to keep their main audience interested and happy while they try out new material. But here's the catch. Fox is also trying to get younger people to watch. They've added a weather network, more streaming choices, and even content that is specific to people in other countries. It looks like they're trying to keep their longtime fans while also slowly courting a new, more diverse following. Don't think they forgot about the bad news. Recently, Fox News has added more news stories, with big interviews like Bret Baier's talks with Donald Trump, the former president, and Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Could this be a hint that they want to balance out their opinion-heavy primetime schedule? Perhaps. It looks like this new focus on news is part of a plan to restore some of the traditional authority of journalists while keeping their opinion-based identity. Even though these moves are meant to appeal to a wider audience, the network is still strongly supporting a right view, especially after the 2020 election. Fox seems more determined than ever to appeal to the hardcore MAGA base, even though its numbers have been going down since the election and it faces tough competition from new conservative networks like Newsmax. What does this mean for Fox News? Definitely in a tough spot. Some people might even say they're changing, but how much can they change before losing their main fans? Fox News has to walk a fine line between keeping what made them famous in the first place and altering the ways people watch TV. These changes to their programming could either make them even more of a leader in conservative media or take them into uncharted territory, which could cost them fans who might switch to other networks. Time will tell if these changes are enough to help Fox have a new long-term success or if they will fail in the end. All eyes are on Fox right now as they take it one primetime show at a time through these rough waters. In the last minute, Jesse Waters said something about Harris Faulkner that no one saw coming. What could he have said that everyone is talking about? The news on TV today isn't like this, it's something much bigger. Stay tuned until the end to see what Jesse said about Harris that will blow your mind. What does Harris Faulkner plan to do next? Hearing that Harris Faulkner is leaving Fox News makes you wonder why she's making such a big choice and where she'll go next. She has worked for Fox News for almost 20 years. Since then, she's become one of the most recognized voices on the network and a name that millions of people know and trust as an anchor. For someone whose work seems to be going up all the time, what's next for Faulkner? Can she join a different group, start her own media company, or she might do something completely different? It's easy to picture her fans eagerly anticipating her next move and holding on to every news with a sense of electric energy and curiosity. Based on her past work and skills, Faulkner is ready to take on a wide range of new challenges. She could host her own show, write a book, or even start a podcast where she can share her unique style and thoughts. It's likely that her fans would follow her anywhere because she can connect with viewers on a human level. It's always been easy for her to make even the most difficult problems seem like they could be solved by anyone. She might be able to take that quality to a whole new level with a new project. There is always the chance that she will end up at a different network, though. Any media company that wants to spice up their lineup would love to have her on board because she has experience, reputation, and an audience already. On the other hand, Faulkner could choose to go it alone. Today, how many journalists are making their own space in the media by starting their own sites that they run completely on their own? Faulkner might be the next author to follow this trend, making a place for herself to talk to her readers directly without any walls or restrictions. Think about it. Faulkner without being limited by a company, telling stories she's really interested in, looking at things from new angles, and dealing with problems she really cares about. That sounds like the right job for someone with her skills, doesn't it? Also, talking about new topics, Faulkner has already tried telling stories in other ways. For example, she recently worked on a true crime docuseries on Fox Nation called Surviving a Serial Killer. This move into documentary-style media shows how flexible she is and how willing she is to try sharing stories in new and interesting ways. Could she learn more about this world and maybe make her own documentaries? She could even look into stories and ideas that are important to her. Do you remember her one-season show Footsteps of My Father? She went on a journey to learn about her late father's life as a combat pilot in the Vietnam War. This helped her connect with her family and with her audience on a very personal level. Maybe more projects like that are just around the corner. True stories that are both personal and applicable to everyone. Also, don't forget the huge potential of digital media sites where she could try out different types of content such as podcasts, video series, or digital publications. These days, independent media platforms are growing quickly. These give reporters the chance to work without being limited by business goals, political restrictions, or rigid structures. Faulkner could not only make her voice heard, but she could also connect with her readers and let them be in on the news before it was reported by a big media company. Picture her in that place, can you? She would be able to tell any story she wanted and would not have to worry about being censored by the company. In the end, one thing is certain. Faulkner isn't done with life just because he quit Fox News. Not at all. Her leaving is more like the start of an exciting new chapter that could change her job and give us access to options we haven't even thought of yet. It also makes me wonder about the media business in a bigger way. What percentage of well-known journalists are leaving old networks for new ones where they can report the news freely, not being limited by political or business goals? Faulkner's choice could mean a change in how media stars grow in a field that is always changing. It will be interesting to see what she does next with her skills. What will happen to television news in the 21st century? The broadcast world is going through a huge change right now. That's why traditional news sources are having a lot of trouble with it. Millions of people used to watch cable news networks to keep up with what was going on in the world, but now they are facing an existential problem. Things aren't going as planned anymore, it's more like a race to stay afloat. People in charge at CNN, like Mark Thompson, are finally admitting that old ways of doing things aren't working anymore. What's the plan? CNN is thinking about making a big change. They might start selling information directly to viewers through subscriptions instead of going through pay TV providers. That's a brave move, right? To be honest though, they might not have a choice. Why is this taking place? Well, a lot of people are cutting the cord and giving up linear TV, which is making fewer people watch cable news. Less people are paying for TV the old-fashioned way, which means that CNN and other networks like it are making less money. They used to depend on carriage fees, but those aren't as strong as they used to be. It's almost like the digital age has made them think about everything again. They now have to ask the same question that all businesses seem to be asking these days. How can they keep being useful? These changes have more of an effect than just fewer people watching cable TV. The changes are spreading like a wave and changing society. The old ways of getting news are getting harder to find. That's why we're seeing a worrying drop in trustworthy neighborhood news. Take a look. How often do we find good neighborhood news these days? Some newsrooms don't have as many committed reporters, so a lot of communities don't get the news they need. Also, let's be honest, this change isn't just a small bother. Today, it's actually making things more broken up and tense in society. It's kind of like the rough times during the Vietnam War or the Civil Rights Movement, isn't it? There are gaps in society that people try to fill with, well, just about anything. This can make the gaps even bigger. How do networks like CNN try to change with the times? They think that smartphones and other movable gadgets will be the best way to get news to people in the future. All of it is about going digital first, since everyone is already on their phones. It's not just CNN either. Even Fox News has shown that it's not easy to switch to digital. It can actually work really well. By July 2023, Fox News Digital had the most minutes and views across all platforms. It was their best month since the beginning of 2021. All of the big categories were growing by more than 10% compared to the month before, and even the year before that. For a standard media network, that's pretty cool, right? Don't just switch to phones and computers either. It's about adding new kinds of material that modern people will like. A lot of traditional media outlets are following trends like podcasts, web series, and digital-only material, for instance. They know that people want more than just the news every night at the same time on television. Newspapers and magazines are also trying out paywalls and premium fees as part of this trend. Yes, they might lose some users who don't read often, but people who are ready to pay are making up for the loss of ad revenue. Collaboration is another interesting point to look at this from. Conventional media are teaming up with digital media or even celebrities more and more to reach more people. Do you remember when influencers were seen as rivals to big media? They are now going to be partners. When traditional media and digital sites work together, they can create something new and interesting. A mix that's becoming more popular as people change the way they use media. What will it take to stay important in the world of new media? It's clear that flexibility is important for people who work in the field. No longer can you only be a writer or news anchor. You need a wide range of skills to be open to technology and to have a strong personal brand. Next year, cable news might still be around, but it will look very different. Imagine a world where the ideals of old-fashioned journalism and the speed of modern technology work together. That's most likely where we're going. A mix of the old and the new, where cable news networks are coming up with strategies that speak to busy modern viewers while still sticking to tried and true journalistic standards. This is the end of the movie. Thanks for seeing. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to get more. Click on the movie that comes up next to read more exciting stories.